You're listening to the Successful Mind Podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them. I'm David Nagel, and this is the Successful Mind Podcast. What mind are you speaking to? The reason for this is because later today, I'm meeting with one of our matrix groups. By the way, we have another round of the matrix going to start here in a short period of time. That's our advanced sales program. If you're interested in that, please get a hold of Raheem. Don't wait to the last minute, okay, to do it. Just make a decision and get in there if that's something that you've been wanting to be part of. Now, in that program today, by the way, the class that's currently going through it, we are in the second half of the program where I analyze people's sales calls, right? So they record sales calls, real sales calls, and I go through them with the group step by step on what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what they're hearing, what they're not hearing. And we've got some fantastic calls this round, what people are doing. And today is like a bonus teaching day, right? So we had our calls yesterday. Today, there's a bonus teaching day. And I kind of decided that I wanted to expand on a topic for that group and go even deeper on something because of what's going on in the calls. And I thought, something, this would be good for you guys to know a little bit about also. So when I say, what mind are you speaking to? I'm referring to sales, okay? It's interesting how things hit in groups, right? I've got a big client that speaks to a lot of people, and his company's asking me to go over their stage presentation, and they didn't know why it bombed, so they brought it to me, and it fits right into this idea also, and that is that you hear me say, and you might not make a mark of this, but you should. A sales conversation, whether it's on the phone, face-to-face, at the front door, on stage in front of 5 people or 50,000 people, is a different conversation than you're going to have anywhere else in your life. And here's one of the main reasons. Because in most conversations, you're talking conscious mind to conscious mind, right? Right now, I'm talking to your conscious mind. You're listening with your conscious mind. If we were having a coaching call on the phone, or if we were having a cup of coffee someplace and we were chatting, you're talking to your husband, your wife, your friend, your lover, your kids, whatever. It's conscious mind to conscious mind. You do it your whole life. Sales is different. Sales is you are speaking to their unconscious mind. Now, let me explain why this is such a problem for most people, right? You got to understand something. Amazing salespeople, the real heavy hitters, they study sales like a doctor, studies medicine their whole life. Their whole life. They're constantly getting better at it. And in the industry that I'm very proud to be part of, you can kind of split it into 2 factions, if you will. You have the mindset set of the industry, and then you have the skill set coaching part of the industry. When I got into this business, there were hardly any coaches out there. There really weren't many. Now they're everywhere, right? Everybody wants to be a coach. But when it started to grow, because I was part of it when I watched this thing start to explode, I think a lot of it had to do with The Secret, when The Secret came out. We noticed something that had always been there that was becoming easier for people to do, I think probably primarily because of the internet. And that was this. It was starting to attract people that had a low self-esteem, and they wanted to use the recognition of being a coach. And now we're seeing it with entrepreneurs to make them feel good about themselves, instead of really wanting to do something because that's where they feel called to do it, right? Coaching for a while there kind of became like the new rock star thing, bright, shiny object syndrome, so to speak. Not really rock star, but I could be seen, by a lot of people. I get to tell people what to do. I get to make a lot of money, and they're not in it for the right reasons. Now entrepreneurs are having the same problem. A lot of people are coming into the entrepreneurial space and their head is in the wrong space, right? So it's even worse when a person's coming from that mindset, because here's the reason. They're talking to get feedback. They're coaching to get feedback. They're building a business to get feedback. They want the adulation of doing something right, doing something good, helping somebody. And it makes it even more difficult in their sales process because they're not selling to influence, right? They're selling to be heard. And there's a big difference, right? They want somebody else to hear them. They want somebody else to see them. See, they're trying to get those basic needs, right? Seen, heard, and validated. They're trying to get those three basic needs fulfilled by the outside world, so to speak. And it's like, hey, we found this niche to be able to do that in. They're more concerned with how they feel about how everybody else feels about them than when they're actually building a business, making money, or even helping people for, a lot of it. That's kind of to the extreme. But even the average person going through life, right? Think about somebody that's in the victim triangle. They want to be seen, heard, and validated. They just do it in a different way that's a bit dysfunctional. Okay, so now let's say you take any one of these people and you're going to bring them and try to teach them how to sell. You have to get them out of their head, their speaking mind, and you have to get them into the idea of thinking beyond just a casual conversation and thinking about what is going on in the mind of my potential client. What's happening there? And we have to speak to the unconscious mind of that person, because the conscious mind's not going to do anything. And in a lot of cases, when you're speaking just to the conscious mind, you're going to get pushback. You won't make sales. You will get rejection. When you feel a sale slipping away from you, which will be almost instantaneously, if not even before you pick up the phone, you're going to want to withdraw from that space. You're not going to want to do it because of the rejection. So it becomes something that you avoid. But if you were really serious about helping somebody else, why would you be so concerned about your rejection? Why would that be coming up for you? So it shows you that there's something else going on with you, right? Now, when you decide that you're going to really master this, the idea is that you have to really understand the sales conversation. The 4 questions that I've designed in the way that I teach sales are designed to speak specifically to the unconscious mind of the person that you're attempting to sell. In other words, it goes beyond the conscious resistance and it taps into their emotional mind. Because everybody, regardless of people's opinions on this, has been proven over and over again for 100 years. People make decisions to buy emotionally and they justify it logically. Every time. Even your analytical types, right? Even your engineer types, they buy emotionally. It just might, mean a circuit board turns them on more than, something anybody else would buy. But everybody's got that thing that they get emotionally charged by in a positive way. And then they find a way to justify it in their mind to buy. But if you don't understand what that is, and if you don't know how to speak to the mind of that person, then what you're speaking to is at the same level of the resistance that they meet the world with. And then you don't know what to do with that. The average person, when I listen to a sales call and a person has no training, here's what you hear. You hear a person talking all about what they have and how they could help a person and maybe other people that they've helped and why this would be a good thing for them. The person that they're talking to, they have no clue this person's shutting down by the second internally, right? They're turning off, right? They're not hearing it, but they're meeting the world at the logical level that they think people make decisions from. Like, you should do this because I think this is a good idea. So it becomes about your need to be right about your good idea. Nobody does anything because you think it's a good idea. But like, wake up, right? Hello. People do things for their own reasons. But when your ego gets involved, it hijacks your own common sense. And then you wonder why you get rejected, and you feel hurt when you're rejected because you just know that you could help this person if they would only but listen to you. You could help them out of their dilemma. You could fix their problem. You could make their life happier and easier if they would just but listen. And it's like, yes, logically, I totally agree with you. Absolutely, but it's like speaking to a child. A child's not going to do things for your reason unless you're so severely manipulating that kid that they have no choice. The trick with kids is, how do you get them to do it for their reasons? But if you have the need to be right, you won't even like that. You'll want them to do it for your reason because it fills your ego-driven idea about how you should be interpreted in the world or respected or seen, right? It validates whatever issue you might be having for yourself. But listen, folks, you want to be a real heavy hitter in sales. You want consistent sales. You want to be able to have a sales conversation anywhere that you go. You've got to learn how to speak to their unconscious mind. And you have to understand the difference between when they're responding from their conscious mind and when they're responding from their unconscious mind, and what questions to ask to get to the true answer, right? So that's why I've been telling you forever, the real key to sales fundamentally on the conversational standpoint is always about you asking questions. It is never about you telling people things, right? It's always asking questions. Number one question, what do you want? I know some people think that I'm joking when I say this. I am not joking. It is the most intimate question you could ask next to sex, because nobody gets asked that question seriously. And when you look somebody in the eye, or you're on the phone or a Zoom call or standing on a stage, and you ask a person in the right tone of voice, what do you really want? It goes right to their heart. Because human beings' unconscious desire in life is to go after what they want. But most people shut it down. They shut it off. So that question, asked specifically under the right circumstances with the right tone, right? Surrounded by the right conditions, right? In other words, you're setting up the sales scenario, speaks to the unconscious mind, not the conscious mind. We get on the phone and I say to somebody, hey, Sam, it's David. We had a 2:00 appointment today. And if you remember, the reason that we have a 2:00 appointment today was because on our last call, we said that we were going to talk on Tuesday at 2:00, right? That's speaking right to their conscious mind. How you doing today? Speaking right to the conscious mind. You start telling them about what you've been doing, what's going on, all that, like I was telling you about the dog, right? I wouldn't do that on a sales call. Wouldn't do it on a sales call. In this scenario, it's totally fine, right? Fun little story. Totally fine. On a sales call, it's totally different. Why? Because whether you believe it or not, you may not be speaking to a person's unconscious mind all the time, but they're reacting from it 24 hours a day. So when you ask a question, when you make a statement, if you sneeze, a person reacts because they have a program of how to react to everything that they experience in their world. One of the most difficult things to do is to teach people making sales calls to be very quiet, right? Not to make sounds of agreement like, yes, yeah, of course, yeah, sure, absolutely, right, yep, I hear you. None of that stuff. When you ask a question and they speak, you go silent. Mute your phone if you have to. No noise, right? So, well, that's kind of extreme. It's not. When you ask a question, you want free flow from their unconscious mind with the answer. If you make a noise, now this is not intentional, okay? If you make a noise, if you cough, if your dog barks in the background, their subconscious mind has to react to it. It doesn't have a choice. Now, they don't have to focus on that reaction, but it has to react. And when it reacts, it temporarily, even for a millisecond, it breaks the flow of what they were telling you or what they're about to tell you. Now they have to get back to that again. You do it too much, they can't get back to it again. In NLP, we do it on purpose. We call it a pattern interrupt. So you can help break a person's thinking habit, right? It's very important. In sales, it's silence. Silence is golden. You ask a question, nothing. You want the subconscious mind to tell you what it really believes and thinks. Not because of you, though. Because if a person hears themselves tell the truth, sometimes for the first time, they can't deny it. And it's more powerful than the conscious resistance than they have. See, let's say a person really needs to do something. They've got a serious problem, but they've been avoiding it. They're afraid of it. They don't want to do it. It's a hassle. It's going to cost them money, whatever. You come along with a product or service that's going to solve this problem for them, okay? When you start to get them in alignment with the conversation, you're asking questions. What do you want, right? Why do you want that? How long have you been dealing with this problem? What happens if you don't solve this problem? They're coming from their point of truth if you're doing it correctly, okay? Now, you've got something very interesting taking place within their own head. You have their truth, which is standing up against the bullshit excuses that they've been making about why they haven't done it yet. These two things can't stand in the same space. And generally, if there is an urgency with that person, the truth will collapse the excuses. And the person will make a decision to move forward. And it doesn't matter. This could be face-to-face from a stage, B2B, B2C. It doesn't matter what it is, because you're speaking to the unconscious mind. And you're keeping the unconscious mind in flow. It's their true self. It's the honest part of themselves. It's the part that will get them to change, to do, to buy, whatever it is. But if you don't know how to speak to it, because you can't get yourself out of the way, then you just do what the average salesperson does, which is struggle all day long. You ask the right question in the right tone of voice, in the right way, they will tell you absolutely everything that you need to know to ask the next question, which will lead to them saying, I'm 100% in my yes, or I'm 100% in my no. Yes, like a house divided cannot stand. Exactly. Believe it or not, human beings don't like to be out of integrity with themselves. They either want to be lying completely or telling the truth completely. They hate being in that middle place where they're self-reflecting on what's going on. So you have to know, in a sales conversation, you want in your mind, picture the stick person, right? When you're in a sales conversation, speak to the bottom part of the head. That's what you're speaking to. That's the emotional mind. That's the truth mind, right? That's the them, the real self that you're actually speaking to. You've got to remove you from that picture, right? You're just the catalyst for the conversation. That's it. They make the decision because they've really decided. So that means the more you get your ego out of the way, the better the results. And if you can do that, your results will be astounding. Because what you're really doing is helping a person make a choice that they really want to do anyway. They just can't align. They cannot get the conflict between their conscious mind and their unconscious mind to resolve itself so that they can actually make the decision. And that's all a great sales call does. That's what it does. It's no different. It's a coaching call with a different result at the end. That's it. That's it. But you're speaking directly to their unconscious mind. I wanted to talk to you about that. Think about that. Think about how you're having the conversation. When a person's pushing back, when you're in a conversation and they're pushing back, their conscious mind's engaged. If you start to fight that pushback, it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. You got to know, how do I slip in under what they said and go back into the subconscious mind? Let's have an absolutely fantastic day. It's a great day out there. It's a positive day. Make a decision. Make a lot of money today. I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind Podcast. If you like what you heard and you want to learn more, go to lifeisnowinc.com. I'll see you next week.